welcome to the Football 360 show. I am JP Rock. He is Matt Bierman. How you doing today, Matt?
Doing well, JP.
We're coming at you live on X and YouTube, Apple. You can find the podcast on Apple audio only, and of course Spotify. And if you miss anything, you want to know anything Football 360 show related, football360show.com, as well as Football 360 show on X and Instagram. And my personal social media is JP Rock MO on X/Twitter, and JP Rock Scouts U on the gram. Matt, everything with you is Elite Football.
Yeah, Elite Football on X, and then Elite Football Academy on Instagram.
So it's just the Academy is the
difference. I don't know why we didn't get it, whatever, it was a long time ago.
Somebody must have snagged that, huh? There's a lot of elite stuff going on.
Tell you what, when we started it in 99, there was not many people using the word elite, and
it's everywhere now.
Everywhere.
In fact, we were both just at a 7-on-7, and it was Red Zone Elite.
Yep, Red Zone Elite. There's numerous teams that use elite. So
elite football, yeah.
Yep, but I think it's one of those things that it's interesting to see because everybody's an All-American. Everybody's elite, but you know, when it comes to the Midwest, we are the elite.
The elite. There you go. Yep. Look at that.
We've been doing it much longer, and you know, a lot of people want to glom on to that, and it's amazing the number of copycats there are. It's just, but I guess it's the best form of.
I guess that's flattery.
Flattery, yeah.
You know, I don't consider it flattery because there are people who have been doing it and stuff, and everybody likes to poach from everybody. And in fact, that's why if you see, if you're even on social media, you saw a lot of your followers are not people who necessarily care what you have to say, but they want to see what you're doing.
Correct.
So that they can go ahead and take from that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, over the years, we've had people copy our website. We've had people, as far as taking information off our website, and it relinks back to our website so we can see that they took it, and there's pictures of our coaches on there. I mean, it's wild.
I remember like a few years ago when somebody popped up with their little deal where they're writing blurbs on people and charging people to read them, illiterate stuff. Basically,
yeah.
Who's writing this, man? And I had people be like, "Hey, are you part of this?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "No, why?" And they're like, "Well, it's like mirrors your social media feeds."
Yeah.
And so that stuff goes on. But I guess you can say that's flattery.
Yeah.
One way or another.
I can tell you this, when we started in 99, the internet was not a big thing. And
no,
it was a lot of people laughed about what we were doing, didn't know exactly what we were trying to do. And, I look now and it's, you see a guy that's 2 or 3 years into training kids, and they're the authority.
Yeah.
And they've experience trumps the vast majority of anybody's argument as to claim of how well they know something. You have to put hours in, and you have to learn the business. You have to learn the technique, and there's talented young coaches, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of copycats, and a lot of those coaches are going and getting drills from people, or they're learning things from people that quite honestly that they don't even understand themselves.
Right. And God bless the guys out there training guys. And I love it when I see guys and I'm like, oh, he's training guys, and they're quiet about it.
Yes.
And I don't want to mention names because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But there's some guys out there, and I see them on social media, and they're just training guys. And I'm like, oh, man, look at you. Good for you. You're doing anything, but you guys are unique. I mean, there's really nothing like it.
It's a fun deal, but I think that's been the method to our madness and secret to our success is it's all about the kids and putting them forward. And
you can really tell. Like I said, the guys that I see out there training people quietly, it's about the kids, and you can tell.
We have some trainers
kids from their teams or whatever they're doing.
Yeah, we have some trainers that are world class. That you look at Jamie Pond, who's our offensive line head of our offensive line, and Rayshon Golden, who heads up the defensive line with Jason Curtis. They're not real vocal online, right? Like
he's not even online.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where, but you know what? Who cares if you're vocal online? And what matters is how well your kids do when the time comes and they're being evaluated and they're playing, and then they get to the next level, and how many of those guys make it past the next level onto the next level. So Jamie's one of those guys, and the D-line guys do an excellent job of it. And
right.
We don't feel necessary to shoot every single thing we do, put it out for public consumption, because our customers and clients are coming in and our players want to get better, and that's what it's all about. It's not about, clips and tricks about, how to get more people to come in and buy what be a snake oil salesman and get a bunch of people to come in and think that that's the way to do it. No, put a quality product on the field and they will come.
It's interesting as you mentioned that Jamie and you guys with the offensive alignment, because I was just coming in and I just saw a post by Talon Chandler, in his black and gold in his Mizzou gear. And you have him, you have Ryan Jost, you have Drake Heismeyer. And I was just thinking, man, that's pretty elite intensive.
Yeah, Mitchell Walters.
Yeah, Mitchell Walters.
Four of them.
Yeah, up there at Mizzou, and it's growing, and it's probably gonna grow some more. So yeah, Jamie's best in the biz. There's some good guys over in Kansas City as well, but Jamie, since I know him personally, I can vouch for that. And
you've seen it.
All you gotta do is look. One of your other O-line trainers, Big John, posted 30. You guys had 30 offensive linemen, I guess, on Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, they come
everywhere from places in Illinois, East St. Louis, out to Wentzville, North Point.
Yeah. I mean, that's the cool thing about our place is that you get so many different kids from so many different backgrounds in there training together. And, one, it just helps connect the dots, right? And these are kids that you're competing with, but you're also iron sharpens iron, right? So you're getting to compete with them. Guys that you may never play, but they're probably in the same peer group as you because they're working hard and they want to go play college football, and you get to work together. And I think it's just it beats down a lot of there's kids from all walks of life that come into our facility. It is not a one type of kid that's in there. There's kids from the city, there's kids from the county, there's kids from the country, there's kids from, all different walks of life, all different backgrounds. Right. And I think that's what's so unique about it is that they all come together under a common cause of getting better. And that's what happens. And I think we've proven that model in and out. And even like, if you look at like our 7-on-7 teams, a lot of teams you go to, they're very focused on, just one group of kids, and they're focusing on, certain areas. We have kids from all over. And I think that's the beauty of the sport of football. Because when you go to college, it's not kids all from one state. There's kids from all over the country on that team. And you better get used to playing with kids from different backgrounds that you grew up in, right? And then you got to come together, and that's the beauty of football.
Right. And what's cool is you mentioned that your 7-on-7 team. Boom. I was up there in Kansas City, got a chance to watch them, and I saw and spoke with a couple of Columbia Rockbridge kids, as well as you got 3 kids from Quincy, Illinois, Notre Dame. I mean, that's a they're coming and meeting in the middle and playing on one of the top national teams in the country.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing about that environment is you have kids that are really excited about getting better and improvement, and this is part of their development plan. And because you get some teams that are there strictly to win championships, which is great. I mean, winning is everything, right? Yep. But you want to individually win as well this off season when you're being viewed by coaches. That's a competition as well, right? So our goal is to get those guys to peak when they're being viewed by colleges, and playing on the weekends is having fun, but sharpening your skills and learning to compete and play the game to its fullest. I think are the things that are really going to help those kids, go when they go back to their teams, and then more importantly, in the near term, be evaluated by college coaches and scouts so that they can, get themselves an opportunity beyond high school.
And what's interesting is that you saw me up there.
Yep.
I follow every team. I cover every team. I talk to every player that's there in the thing. And there's good kids on every team and there's polite kids on everything. But I've got to say, you got a lot of character kids, because there was a lot of kids who came up and just wanted to introduce themselves.
Yeah.
And thank me for being there and what I do and everything like that. And that's quality and that's character. And yet I don't know, you look for that when you're picking.
We do, but I
look for the fastest, tallest.
No, you know what? I think we attract kids by our product and what we put on the field and from a training perspective. And we've been blessed over the years. I mean, I would say, by and large, like, you can go some of those tournaments and there are some rotten eggs. I mean, there's some guys there that are, and that doesn't mean kids aren't going to be volatile and get upset and whatever and compete. That's not, it's usually the stuff away from the game that you really draws your attention, right? There's some behavior issues, and just playing inappropriate music in front of women and children. Talking and getting excessively loud, and you're just playing around too much when the situation doesn't really call for it. But I would say that we pride ourselves in having good, high quality kids and parents that support them, right? And obviously there's always kids that have tough situations and may not have the parent support that they need due to outside obligations by their parents on the weekend. So we help with those kids and help get them to experience the being out of town and getting to train and compete.
Right. Well, it's nice to see go over there in Kansas City, because there are teams from Iowa and teams from Colorado, and they're not necessarily follow that formula that you do, but it's nice to see the local teams stretch the field. Empire. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody. BC, who was there, they're new building champions, I think they're called. Flight, all the local teams, Epic 7, all those guys all seem to have quality kids, and I think that you all instill that in your teams.
Yeah, and then there are definitely teams that don't, right? And you can see that from a mile away.
You have teams who are supposed to be 15 and under, and the kids are you catch them in the restroom and they're talking about they drove down from.
Oh yeah, There's definitely
that
14
away.
Or 15 age group. They do an age verification, but man, I got to tell you, I think people have figured out how to get around it, because there's boys that are clearly driving age playing 15, they're playing 15 or 14 U's.
Yeah.
So, and I think the cool thing about 7-on-7 is it does allow you to compete, but there, some of the downside is, I won't even see the age group. I saw a team win a considerable amount of games, and the quarterback I'm watching, and nothing against the kid.
Yeah.
It was extremely windy, and they played backyard football. They chunked the ball down the field. A lot of non-football play type of scenarios, and it's a young man couldn't get his arm over the top of his shoulder to throw the ball. Everything was short-armed.
Yeah, but
he was successful, right, in the game of 7-on-7. But I looked at one of my coaches and I said, that kid will never play varsity football, or if he does, he will struggle, right? And then that's, again, it's just, you can get away with it in that game if you're going to dink and dunk, but you're not going to get away with it when you're playing tackle football, unless he's one heck of a runner or something like that. But
it's a different game.
It
does not necessarily translate.
No.
And I've seen it long enough, and
it doesn't.
And with what you're talking about, you hope that 7-on-7 doesn't devolve into AAU basketball. But you see certain elements trying to come into that.
Oh yeah, the NIL stuff is getting involved in it, and you got people want college coaches to get involved. I think the college coaches want to stay away from it, with a 10,000-foot pole, because they don't. One, it's during their spring ball period is when the bulk of the tournaments occur, right? So they're not going to go leave the campus anyway, but it's also not an interscholastic event, so they can't be in it because they're not doing it with their schools. I think there's a lot of value to it if you know why you're doing it. I have my sons playing, and honestly, it's just getting reps at quarterback, and it's
there's value to it.
Get throwing balls, playing in it was a highly windy environment.
I got to tell you what, every time I'm in Kansas City and for events in the spring, it might as well be like Oklahoma or just further out Kansas, where the wind brutal wind, and I'm talking about sometimes into May.
Yeah,
it can be that way, and especially right there in Platte City, where that tournament was held.
That was a really windy, nice facility, but man, the wind did not. I mean, Sunday it was at least 40-mile-an-hour winds. It was brutal.
See, I've been there when it's been 40-mile-an-hour winds and 30 degrees.
That's no fun.
That's no fun whatsoever.
None at all.
No,
so
you just this much you exposed, just able to see.
Yeah,
that. But there is value in 7-on-7, and I can say that I was very impressed with the amount of talent that I saw.
Yeah.
Through everybody, through the St. Louis teams, your teams especially, 27, 28, those young guys, man, there's some talent both in Kansas City and in the St. Louis area, and it's
and you'll see as the kids get older, like the senior classes, rising seniors, usually the high value guys are not playing. Only a few of them may come out on a Sunday and play.
The ringers.
Yeah, the ringers. Guys aren't going to do the pool play. And then, but it's cool. we get to see those guys compete. Like we had Jeremiah Love and and Wingo playing a tournament last year or 2 years ago, excuse me. And, you're talking about two guys that are high level, 5-star guys, that out there killing it. But again, they're out there having fun. They're kids too. Right. But at the same time, like, there is a decision to be made. Is it really worth doing that when you already got what you want? Right.
Right.
You got the offer sitting out in front of you. So, but it's fun. I think this time of year, we get super busy because we have so much stuff going on with 7-on-7. We got little kid flag football. Skills training is full scale. It's going, 7 days a week. We have something going.
Yeah. Something big's coming up on Saturday.
Yeah. This Saturday, we got the Elite Football Combine, which, we're under 50 spots left. So that means, in 4 days, that will be turned into 100 kids want to register that we only have literally 50 spots for. So if you're listening to this and you aren't registered and you want to do it, you might as well do it.
Absolutely. Take advantage of your opportunity.
Yep.
Don't wait and think, I'll do the next one, or I'll do this, or I'll do that. And another thing that coincides with the 7-on-7, and there's just a competition for, are junior day visits. And it's like, regarding junior day visits, if you've never been to a college campus and you want to see what it's like, you want to see a free basketball game, all that's real good. But if there's something else you could be doing, whether it's playing a sport, whether it's going to an event that's going to better you, be it 7-on-7, be it the combine, be it whatever, you might want to think about doing that, because there's a lot of guys who are going to be there. And even if you're a guy who you're like, are they close to offering me? Is there a potential for an offer? You really have to weigh all those things, because a lot of guys get really excited, whether it's I'm going to junior day at Kent State or Miami, Ohio, or Connecticut, or wherever, or Mizzou. You need to evaluate what value it is for you to do.
So, because just because you get an invite to a junior day, usually it's a cattle call.
Yep.
Usually, if you are going to get offered and you're a high priority guy, they're not waiting for you to come to campus to offer you.
Right.
They're going to just offer you, and it's a done deal. So and it's tough because we just went into a period where now they can communicate again with the kids.
Yeah.
The class of 2025 kids, they can text them and they can call them, and they can have them back on campus, right? But that doesn't necessarily, getting invited to a junior day does not mean that you're, by any stretch. It's part of the process.
Yeah.
But very rarely in my years as a kid come home, like, I got offered at the junior day.
There's probably just a handful, one or two, maybe.
Yeah.
2 or 3, and usually it's the kids who will come from far away. It's like some kid from Texas who will come up, and they kind of know they're going to make that trip for that reason.
Yep.
And I don't even think they get photos anymore.
Nope, that's off the table.
Right. So I mean, at least that was cool to be able to hang in your den when you were growing up.
So now, I didn't know you played there. Yeah. You played at 5 Power 5 schools.
Right.
So I think I think it's a good rule on that. We've talked about it. I think it's a good rule because it cuts down a lot of the situations where kids feel like they want to. Everybody wants to feel special, right? And they want to feel like they're the guy. And the truth of the matter is, there's only 20 guys a class that they're going to recruit to that school. 25 guys, mixing in transfer portal people.
Right.
And at the end of the day, like yes, that's great. You were there. But they are recruiting a lot of people, and then they are recruiting a few people, right?
Right.
There's recruiting and there's recruiting, right?
There's recruiting, and then there's marketing.
Yeah, right.
So they're recruiting certain people.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And then they're marketing the program to other people.
Yes.
They want you to come up. They want you to be a fan. If all of a sudden you break out and you just do this incredible stuff, they'll be like, hey, remember when we had you up here for junior? And they've got your info. And it is a cattle call, like you said. They're gonna meet people. But I mean, I hear stories all the time. It's like, well, how was junior day? I ask kids, how was junior day? They're like, oh, it was good. I'm like, so what'd you do? They're like, oh, well, we went in there and I'm like, well, what did coaches say? Like, oh, I didn't talk to any coaches. Waste of time.
Waste of time.
Waste of your parents' time and the money and efforts to get there.
Good news is like if you want to go to a junior day, go to the spring game instead. Like for Mizzou's particular
excellent point.
case, like which a lot of kids are going to do here locally.
Yep.
Doing the combine is going to get you more mileage at more schools. Showing up to one school's junior day versus the next weekend, you could go to the spring game. You get just as much mileage. They host it just the same way.
Yep.
They're not going to, it's not any less important to them,
No.
right? If you're really that important to them, they're going to love you being there either way.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like they're going to check you off the box because you don't make junior day and then you come to the spring game. Like if they were going to offer you, they'll offer you at one of those. If not, they would have already offered you prior to that.
Right. Yeah.
So,
But I mean, you have plenty of opportunities to go up there and see a practice, see a scrimmage. Spring game is it, and then you still get to talk to all the coaches. In fact, you probably get to talk to them more so because they're just glad handing everybody after the game and how you doing it and all that. So that's an excellent point. The spring game, if you have the opportunity, is
I think we're going to take some kids down to the spring game. I have gotten to go since I've left Mizzou. I think I've been to 2 or 3, maybe just because of our work schedule.
Right.
And this year, it's early enough that it's going to work. And I think last year they did it on Easter weekend or the Friday before or Thursday before, whatever it was. It was kind of a weird one. This year it's the 16th. So
short spring season. Yeah.
And I want to get down there. It's Brady Cook's most likely his last spring ball and get to see it and
see him play a series.
He said he's excited. It's going well. Everything's going well practice wise. And he was telling me that it just feels really good to know that you're the leader, because think about it, going into even this season, everything is still up in the air. Now he behaved as if he was the leader.
Right.
He just was never given those keys. And now obviously he has the keys to the ship and he's ready to go. So I think, that will benefit the team greatly because, having an interim CEO versus having a named, seated CEO is a big difference.
Well, you and I knew he was the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't official because, there were guys brought in and this and that. But once the season started, there was no doubt. And now it's like, hey,
here he is,
Brady Cook, right? Yeah. Here's the deal. And I mean, go to that spring game. It is local flavor intense, this team.
Yeah.
You look at it, and again, a lot of former elite guys, a lot of former elite combine guys. Jakai, I mean, all the guys. I look at it, I'm looking at the roster, and I'm looking at the depth chart, and it's like, St. Louis, Kansas City, Columbia, Washington, Missouri,
So
Troy.
How many of those kids though came in, let's say the elite combine, because we talk about this all the time.
Yep.
How many of those guys as rising, freshmen or rising sophomores were, kind of guys on the cusp, but
unknowns.
And then all of a sudden it's like, bam, like, and I would say it's played a big part in a lot of kids getting discovered.
Oh, without question. I mean, if you just look at it, I mean, just a couple years ago, you're talking about a combine where you had, and we hand out like all-stars at the end of the thing, right? Playing the American Cancer Society all-star game. And, if you just look at that, the one year they were Ryan Wingo, Texas, Jeremiah Love, Notre Dame, Tyler Gantz, Northwestern, and I forget who number 5 was. It was another CBC guy. McClellan.
Well, yeah,
kid named Jeremiah McClellan. Yeah.
At Oregon.
Yeah. I mean, anything like that. In that same deal. You also had Jakai Lang up at Mizzou. You had Trevor Burr, Iowa State. I was going through video, and this was years ago. And you've got Dominic Orange, who's at Iowa State, who was a freshman or a sophomore, going against Javante Spraggins, Tennessee. Starting offensive lineman for Tennessee. I mean, it's just littered. Brady Cook. Brady Cook. I was going through my old photos, and there's Brady Cook, and there's Cody Schrader. It's like the future Mizzou backfield. Seriously,
at the same event
as sophomores at the same event.
Yep.
Right. Carson Boyd as a 7th grader. I mean, I posted a little bit. All week I could just post all these guys playing college ball or committed or just going to be freshmen. Talon Chandler, Ryan Jones, those guys we all talk. Drake Heismeyer was vertical jumping. I mean, 30 inches.
Yeah.
At the combine at like 290 pounds.
And we've run this combine for
16 years.
Yeah, 16 years.
It's going to be 16.
16 years, right? and we started out in South County back in the day,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And then
Little old place.
and we had the very first one, a guy. It was actually Justin Tatum, his dad.
Yeah.
Was it Jason Tatum? Yeah, he was
Yeah.
the interim head coach.
Justin is the dad.
Yeah, Justin's the dad. Yeah, Justin's the dad. I'm not a basketball guy, but Justin's the dad. He was the interim. He was the head basketball coach at Soldan, I
Yep.
believe, and then an interim football coach. He brings in a kid named Paul McRoberts.
Yep.
He says, "Hey, I want to see if this kid can play. You know, what do you think? Like, see if he's football wise." So he does the combine. It's like, oh yeah. I mean, it was him, Brandon Shepard.
Oh, yeah. Michael Rose.
Michael
went on to
Rose.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
Donovan Newsom, who went on to
Played in the NFL.
play in the NFL. I mean, you're talking Morgan Stewart played up Mizzou. And I'm talking about these are young guys.
Yeah.
Brian Wallace was a freshman. I remember that he was there. It was him. There was Trent Hosick, Morgan Stewart,
Rennell
Rose,
Wren plays in the NFL.
Rennell Wren's
Yeah.
good at it. Yeah. All those guys were there, and they were just kids. Right?
God, it's a long time ago.
It is a long time ago.
but
They're
I-
all
but-
coaches now. Everybody's like a
But,
coach.
but what I think about it is kids look at that and they just like, you know, because the kids now and the parents now, all they see is today. But also understand there's lineage to things, and college coaches understand how that works. Like, it is an event that they can trust because they've trusted it for years, right? And it's one of those things where, again, we didn't just start throwing combines a year or two ago. We've been doing combines, right, since they became a big thing for high school players. And you know, and also obviously helping run the Lindenwood camp and doing the combine component of that has really honed our staff, and we're good at doing what we do. And it's just a good environment for kids to come out, test, get a good feel for what they want to, you know, accomplish, you know, where they need to be.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you,
See where you're at.
you go to some of these big national combines, like for the big, you know, shoe companies or the scouting
Army,
services.
yeah.
Yeah. It is, or I guess news reporting services like the Rivals and guys like that.
Yep.
Like, you go and they already know who they're looking at.
Yeah.
We're trying to discover people and get guys out of our area and discover them and then get them to the right level and push their name and help them get exposure. And it's not that difficult to find those guys.
Right.
But if you're sitting at home, it's really difficult.
Right. Well, it's the difference between reporters, right, which is what the fan sites are, and somebody who knows what they're looking at and what they're going out and actively searching for, because that's what happens with Elite. You go out, I know who's who.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, you know, this combine will benefit you. Other places don't. They're 100% cattle calls, and I hear it all the time from kids. I'm constantly like, "Hey, you say I'm a big time player, but you know, I don't have any stars from this place, that place." I'm like, "Well, what are your offers?" No, I don't have any offers. Well, that's why you don't have any stars, because that's 100. That's really what that's based off of. Is they're reporting, and we see it with local kids. Look at Talon Chandler from last year. He was always about, man, I'm not getting any stars. And all of a sudden, he gets an offer from Colorado. Boom.
And then when you commit, you're even a bigger recruit, those stars, because then you're
a
part of
player.
it. Yeah, you're better player. It's really bizarre. And I was talking to a father the other day about it, and I said, you know, he's kind of upset with how the process is going. And I said, look, be patient. Talon Chandler, who now is at Mizzou, this time last year barely just got an offer.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is right about the time it's going to start happening. So, and that came through a personal relationship. I mean, he still wasn't getting a lot of love.
No,
right?
he wasn't. He was getting some small offers, and like, should I announce this? It's like, just be patient.
Yeah,
because you know,
we're pushing, we're working behind the scenes for guys, and the thing is like, but I will tell you this, and I know you're the same way. I will push and work for kids as long as I know that they're going to work hard, right? And how do you prove that? Do what you say you're going to do. Be a good person. You know, train as often as you can, and buy in to the program.
Yep.
Right? That doesn't
take
mean
advantage of your opportunity you're given.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you have to, like, you know, sell your soul and
No.
all you have to do is just train.
Show up.
Just be
Show
consistent.
Show up is the majority of the battle. If you talk to people, even people in business, they're like, "Oh, this guy's a billionaire, but he's not the smartest guy." Well, no, you know why? He's a billionaire. He showed up. That was half of it. He showed up and did what he had to do. Same thing.
And I think the same thing. Yeah, I look at it as being a business owner. Like I work 7 days a week. Is that a badge of
You're
honor?
never off, yeah.
Absolutely not. It's not a badge of honor. It's
No.
just what I do.
Yep.
And so being consistent, quite honestly, that's how you beat people, because most people really just aren't that consistent, and it's not that important to them.
Right.
And we live in a world where you can find any distraction you want to find, right?
Yep.
So, what's important to you? So if you're an athlete, you're wanting to train and develop, there's so many different things you need to be doing that are really important to your success, like eating properly, sleeping properly, hanging out with the right people,
Huge.
working out, lifting, running, working on your skill development, learning the game. All those things are hypercritical that turn into helping you become a better football player. Also, taking care of your grades. Then that helps you become a better person off the field, right?
Right.
Taking care of your relationships with your parents, and
All your personal
responsibilities as a young man. And so, to think that it's all about catching a ball or throwing a ball is highly disrespectful to being a human being, first off, right? And then, but being a member of a team, you got to bring more value than just being able to do a skill set. And it's just not that important, right? There's a lot of guys that catch and throw and block.
Right. Because just talent alone is not going to get it.
No.
You need to do that other stuff. That's what separates guys, because I'm sure everybody knows a guy, and you hear the stories all the time. Oh, man, back in the day, he was something, right? He was really something. Well, he ran up against other guys that were something, and what separates them is that the other guys that were something did what was needed to elevate themselves, to keep on that upward trajectory. And those are the guys you see in the NFL. Those are the guys you see that NFL combine that just happened, right? Yep. Now we can talk about that, because everybody was super fast this year. Okay. But you see guys, right? You see local guys like Cooper Beebe, right? Over the Kansas side, and the local guys from St. Louis. I forget who it was that we had. Who was up there that just
Cody Schrader,
Isaiah
Williams.
Isaiah Williams had a good combine. There was a lineman, I thought, that was
Puny, the guy from Kansas.
I mean just local guys, right? Those guys, right, separated themselves because Cooper Beebe was not this heavily recruited guy, right? But he's 6'3", 322 pounds, and I think he was running like a 5 or sub 5 40. Right, while he was out there.
Yeah,
he was always a guy, and you could always tell, because he was a guy who lived in the weight room. He did everything he could. He really lived the game. He had the passion for it. So I'm not surprised that he's successful. Guys who are up there and are successful, no surprise, right? Hassan Haskins is another guy who you knew was going to be a guy who made stuff.
There's certain individuals you get to see, and God gave them certain gifts, but then there's also things that they do that say, okay, this he's got a high motor on the field, like there's no quit. He's fully engaged in the game. And then there's other guys, and you can get fooled. There's plenty of kids that are really good at training and not real good at football.
Yep.
I mean, there's just there is that component. Or it might just be that they have a mental block, or they're just not fitting in their system properly, or they might be listening to the wrong people, whatever it might be. But to get to that level and get to the combine, I think is really a testament to, getting selected. It's a small group of people that get to go there out of all college seniors and juniors that are going to declare.
Right.
It's a small number, right? And so it's exciting to get to watch those guys do it. I do think, talk about those 40 times, it's one thing when you see one person go, sub 4.3.
Right.
It's another thing when you see a couple, because a lot of people don't realize the way that system sets up is, you see the guys doing their start, and they're on a laser, right? So you see the laser start, laser finish. Well, that's the official time.
Yep.
The unofficial time is the guy sitting at about 7-8 yards up the field is starting them with his hand.
Yep.
So he's got a hand clicker that's going into the system. He starts it. Okay. And then when they finish, that's the unofficial time. That's what they report for what? TV.
Right.
Okay. So, that official time, because that should be the dead tip off. There's not an official time being reported on TV. So I can tell you, without divulging too much information, a couple years ago, a guy told me that was very much in the know. He said the fastest guy at the combine on the TV was not the fastest guy that got reported.
Right.
And it was because the guy, they had an individual that was the starter for a long time. They changed starters, and this guy had blown a few starts. He was just a little delayed,
right?
Or jumped the gun on a few guys. And that was all the difference it would take, because you're talking fractions of seconds. You're not talking, but it's made for TV, right?
I was going to say it's done for entertainment purposes.
Yes.
Because, the more you keep seeing, oh, this guy ran this fast. Oh, is this guy going to break what he ran?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to tune in.
It
and
draws
watch,
eyeballs.
Right. Nobody's going to tune and watch a bunch of linemen run a 6:0.
And then the funny
40
thing
time,
is, then the funny thing is, a week from now or 2 weeks from now, they'll be doing all the pro days at the universities.
Yeah.
And the scouts will be out there hand timing them.
Yes.
Because now that's a totally different score, different set of parameters.
Right.
It's a much faster time, like 0.2 of a second faster on average. And so, those can be even. So what's that guy going to run, a 4-second flat?
Right.
Or
Yeah,
4:02.
Exactly. Or is he going to run the same thing that he ran there? Or is he going to run a little slower time?
And that's where there's so much subjectivity, even in the testing.
Right.
Why, again, they all have the laser start, laser finish, which is the best golden standard. Why isn't that reported? Well, I would assume that there's bigger powers at play and they understand marketing and riveting stories. So, but yeah, I think it's a fun deal to watch. I mean, they got me. I was watching, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to see it. And all the kids are at 7-on-7, showing the 4.22 and how fast it was.
Yeah, you heard a lot of that. Guys were running up to other guys saying, "Hey, you're never gonna guess who ran."
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way it goes. So, but
I will say though that I think that the kids, if you're going to be going to the elite combine or you're going to be going to any KC varsity combine, that don't get hung up on your 40 time that you run. I see that every year, especially the last few years. KC varsity, elites doing everything's laser, right? That's being done, and the kids want to complain about the time, and it's like, look, you need to understand how it actually works.
So what I always tell the kids is, it does not know, the lasers do not know what you told people your 40 time is. They don't know what you put on your Twitter bio or your huddle film.
Yeah.
It only knows what you ran on that attempt. That's all it does. It doesn't know who you are, doesn't care who you are. If you have bad technique,
that's it.
You will run slow.
Yep.
If you are a fairly fast kid with good technique at your start, you're going to run fairly fast, right? If you run really fast and have good technique, you're going to have a good time.
Right.
If you're really fast and have a bad start, probably going to run a slower time than what you thought you ran. Exactly. That's just the way it works. So
that's how it works. And if you do run a slower time than usual, guess what? You need to go back to work, and you need to work on your technique, and you need to work on your overall speed and your whatever training you're doing. You need to figure out what's best for you. And that's the great thing about it.
Yep.
The elite combine or any combine is not the end, right? Especially when you're a younger guy. This is what's going to let you know, hey, I need to do this, I need to do that. And that's what will help you, ultimately, on the right path of the journey that you're taking if you want to play at the next level.
Well, I get asked all the time, hey, my son's a freshman. Should he do the combine? We really don't want to do anything and wait.
Yeah.
Let's just wait. My advice is always, if he's in 8th grade, a rising freshman, he only gets 4 attempts to do combines. So if you miss one when he's in 8th grade going in 9th, you got to wait till he's going to be a sophomore when it really counts, right? So as a freshman, you're a rising freshman, you can test, and you're playing with house money. You can test. There's no one expecting anything big from you.
Right.
They're not going to penalize you, right? They're looking for over years, like, do you get faster from freshman year to sophomore to junior year? Are you improving? Are you gaining weight? Did you grow? All those things are important, right? But to hold yourself out of it, because what I can tell you is it's a bit of a culture shock when you're at a combine or a larger event, because what happens is the kids are so nervous about the environment, because it is unique. It's very different, right? You're in a fishbowl. People are watching you. You're being tested and measured, and then you're competing one-on-one. And the problem is a lot of kids are very, very, laid back. And like we talked about being a wallflower, they don't want to jump in on certain drills and one-on-ones. Yeah. But you learn that as a freshman, and then you're more mature when you come in as a sophomore, and you don't let it happen again, and you jump in and you get your reps, and you're confident in how you test, and you prepare a little better, because last time you didn't run as fast as you thought you would. So now that's the impetus to start training harder, right?
Yep.
Then by the time you're a junior, when it really counts, you're kind of an old pro at doing these things, and you feel comfortable. And then that's when you can let it rip, and that's when it really counts, right? Now, if you're an 8th grader going to be a freshman, and you come in and run an extremely fast time and have decent size, well, then you can help yourself a ton.
Absolutely. Hello, DJ Boone from last year.
Yeah.
I mean, we go back to Carson Boyd. He came as a 7th grader.
Yep.
Ace Herman Dawson of the Columbia Battle came as a 7th grader. Of course, it didn't hurt that he was already 6'3", 300 pounds, right? And none of the defensive linemen he went against could believe that he was, 13 years old,
right,
at the time. Last year, probably the best group of 8th graders going into their freshman year, where you had a couple of guys we saw at in Kansas City at the 7-on-7, Garrett Miller, go at Rockhurst now. You had Dakota Stanback at Lee Summit North, Moore at Luther North, Jaden Ellington at Althoff, varsity starters, right? All these guys coming in there, not to mention the DJ Boone. You had, Caleb Brown, you had Royce Searcy, you had all these East St. Louis guys and guys from Kansas City and in between coming in there. And that all helped them.
Heck yeah.
And it was a glimpse as to who was going to be a varsity player as a freshman. And boom, those guys I all mentioned all played.
Yep. So I think, and people start, I get asked all the time, like, hey, what is the best plan? Like, even when they're in middle school. Okay. Well, first things first, they have to enjoy the game they're playing, right? So you want to make sure that they're enjoying what they're doing, right? This is nothing to be forced on anybody, because they'll live to regret it, because if a kid's not ready, he's not ready. But you take them at their own pace, right? So when they get into the game, they're playing tackle football or playing flag football. If they're interested in doing a little bit more, skills training is the perfect inroad, because that makes most sense to them, right? You and I know they need to work on their bodies, because I always tell people, like, the football skills training is what the kid wants, but what they need is performance training.
Yes.
But that's why we package them together, because they're interchangeable classes in our facility, because we know the kid will want to do football, right? Every kid, if you play football, you want to go get better at your position. But we also know the limiting factor typically is your body. So if we can help your body get more in tune while you're growing and get those, synchronize your body a little bit better and get a little bit more movement efficiency, then when you start to learn those skill sets, it goes hand in hand, right? And then on the flip side, the skill set side of things, if you're really fast, but you don't know what you're doing, you just get out of position faster. Yep. So it's a give and take, back and forth, where you're constantly trying to get the young man to work on learning the position, but also maximize their body, right? And then, some kids learn better in a private environment. Some kids learn better in a group environment.
Yeah.
There's certain things you can do group training wise that you can't do in private, and then flip that, right? And then, as they get a little older, you start to introduce the strength training, right? As they start getting into high school, early into high school, then start to, increase that and make their body a little bit more robust and stronger and gain weight. And then from there, you start to add in, obviously, you keep the rhythm of training of speed, agility, performance, as well as the football skill. And then you can start to add in competition stuff like a combine. You add in educational components of teaching them how to play football.
Right.
I mean, I will say, that is probably one disadvantage we've seen over the years, where a lot of kids come into the game not knowing a lot about the game of football. I asked a group of kids the other day, how many of you have ever read a rule book of the game you're playing?
Yeah.
Not one of them raised their hand. Okay. So that's a dangerous spot to be in, because like, if you don't even know the game you're playing, and I'd offer that there's probably quite a few coaches that have never read a rule book.
Oh yeah.
Right. Because the dangerous part is we're all fans of football. So our perception of the game is what we see on TV, right? But the perspective should be, okay, what is this game? And then how can I use the rules to my advantage when I'm coaching and or playing?
Right.
So a lot of kids don't even understand. They know how to play the video version of football. They know how to watch an NFL or college game, but they don't quite understand what that difference is and how to bridge the gap. And so skills training, performance training help on that, but there also is a side of learning the game, watching film, being around people that can teach you about the game, that actually understand the game and know the nuances of the rules. There's different rules at every level of the game.
Right.
High school football is very unique in a lot of rules, right? For the passing game, it's very unique versus the other professional in college, as it pertains to pass interference, as it pertains to what you can do downfield.
And you see that during games, from parents and sometimes coaches and players because they're used to watching it on
Right.
TV and it differs, and so they don't understand. So I see that all the time
Yeah.
being on the sideline. And yeah, if you're not taking advantage of skills and performance training of some kind right now, you're really doing yourself a disservice.
Yep.
And following the elite combine, next the big daddy is Lindenwood, which is going to be coming up.
Yeah, we need to get Coach Stugart on here to talk through really what he's doing with it, what their program's doing. But I think it's an exciting thing that we get to bring that many teams and colleges into town to view the kids that locally live here.
Right.
And it's for 8th graders, rising freshmen up through rising seniors, and then there's also a component for JUCO and transfer portal guys as well.
Yep.
So it doesn't leave anybody out.
Yeah, skill guys.
Yeah, there's kicking. There's kicking, special teams. Yeah, all of it. David Brader does an excellent job with that. I mean, the punters, kickers, snappers are there.
Yeah.
And it's a really good environment for you to be seen. And also kind of feel like, okay, who's interested in me, right? They're not just going to walk up to you. Now, don't get me wrong. If you are an animal, you can see what happens is, once they finish the position group, they bring them together and talk to them. Yeah. And then the coaches, the kids go up to the stands, and it is a mad dash to find kids in those stands.
And hand them your card. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it works pretty well. I mean, it's a good system. I've seen a lot of kids get offered at that camp.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Big time offers.
It's great. And so you don't want to meet. So there's just like a natural progression, right? That people should be doing every year.
Yep.
In the off season, in January, start training. You're going to go to anything. You're going to go to any kind of combine or anything in November, December, immediately following your season. You're doing yourself a disservice, right? Recover, your body and all any injuries or aches or pains you have. January, you want to start your skill training. You want to start training in earnest. If you're going to do 7-on-7, that's good. Then the elite combine, any kind of combine stuff, and just keep building yourself up to something like the mega camp, the Lindenwood mega camp, where you're actually going to get the most important thing of college coaches' eyes upon you. And I tell every kid that no matter what you want is you want college coaches' eyes on you.
They are the decision makers.
They're the decision makers. So you want to know what? There's all these things, and I see all the other various, camps and combines that pop up, and guys are winning MVPs and stuff and all that. That's great. But Lindenwood Mega Camp, that's like you said, you won't. The MVP that you'll win is, hey, we'd like to offer you.
So a couple of things too. There's a lot of camps that advertise college coaches are going to be there. And they're not. If you just look at the time of year.
Well, it depends on what level.
Yeah, you got to look at the time of year. It depends what level. The FCS guys and FBS guys have different rules than D2 and D3 and NAIA. So, the FBS guys, they cannot see you off of a college campus. You have to be on a college campus. Now, if they come to your high school and visit, that's a different story. But if you're doing a camp, combine, clinic, whatever, showcase, mega camp, it is, if it's on a college campus, they can be there. Okay. Another NCAA institution, right? If it is, a middle of the spring combine and it's not an observation period, for that group, like a D2 guy could potentially be there. NAIA has different rules. They can be there. D3 has different rules. They can be there. But if you're going thinking, Mizzou and those guys, no, you're not going to see those guys till May 31st and June 1st, the first camp of the off season, essentially. So, you got to be real careful. If someone's over promising, because the number of times people are like, well, I didn't see any schools there. Well, it's because they can't come, or it's the time of year when they're in spring ball, and it makes it very difficult because they probably are practicing on that day.
Yeah, they're practicing, or they're having guys come in for their junior days.
Right. So it's there's a rhythm to all of it. So don't be fooled into thinking that certain combines, like you're going to get your height, your weight, your times, and get some film of you doing one-on-ones and processing how well you do in the skill component, right? And then having people like ourselves put that out, right? The scores do go out to all the colleges. We do allow kids to scratch scores that, do not work for them because, it's not to burn them. No. It's to teach them and help them.
Everything's from helping. But yeah, you need to look at this and treat this time of year as building, right? You want to keep building up into the point you either want to have fun come May when you're going to be going to some camps and some combines or the mega camp, or you want to build towards earning a college scholarship, playing on the next level. Those are the two reasons that you should be doing camps and combines and all that good stuff.
And so
fun or your serious business.
And you have other kids, which is, I think it's really unfortunate. We could talk more in another day about it, but at the youth level, it's very unchecked, right? And the things we're talking about, kids can certainly play high school sports with all the things we're talking about. There's things you can do on the evenings and weekends that coincide with your spring sport or winter sport. It can be accomplished if you plan it properly, right? Yes. But down at the youth level, it is always a little shocking to me when I talk to people and they have their kid playing year-round tackle football.
Yeah,
and they do tournaments and they do things like that. I am a staunch opponent to that because, one, I've never seen it be successful for anybody. Mm-hmm. Right? It's a fairly new phenomenon where people want to play, winter football and play spring football and play summer, and then the season just kind of runs together in the fall. The beauty of football is that there is a 8-month training period and a 4-month playing period.
Yeah.
3 to 4 months, depending on how good your team is. They're not even the professionals take time off. Even the college guys take time off, right? But playing more football is not going to make you a better football player. Developing, working on your body, all those things will help make you a better football player. Working out, lifting, get you bigger, faster, stronger, right? But it also helps prevent injuries. Playing the game over and over and over does not allow your body to recover, and that's the problem. If you don't recover, you're going to get hurt.
Right. And that's back to what I was saying about, because I'm seeing like, combines popping up in late November, December, early December. And it's like, man, and so of course people go and they're disappointed with their performances. And there's a reason for that, because they haven't allowed themselves time to recovery or the time to start training and get back into things after they've recovered.
But they're so excited when the season's over,
right?
To start, the next season. Well, right. The problem is you are deconditioned during the football season. Most teams are not lifting at the same intensity they were in the off season. So it's a well-known fact that you lose a lot of that work that you put in, right? Yeah. Everybody's kind of in the same boat unless you play for a program that puts a lot of emphasis on in-season strength development and performance. But a lot of guys are just survival of the fittest at that point.
Right.
So, to think that you're going to be in a good condition coming out of the season to do that, unless the only reason you would do it is get your hard lowest level baseline. The problem is a lot of times those numbers go out to school, and I don't know if that's what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could do a whole show on kind of what you want,
mm-hmm.
how you want things to look and how you need to be careful what you're going to buy into from everybody, because everybody's got a business, everybody's trying to earn a living, and so you just want to know, separate the wheat from the chaff. Isn't that how the saying goes?
Yeah. You do. And you also want to look at, again, lineage and longevity, right? Because people pop up all the time. I mean, I have seen people come and go, whether it be national camps, whether it be regional camps, whether it be training facilities or guys popping up or, trainers that are specialized in a position. They come and go, right? Because at the end of the day, it is a grind. It is a lot of work, and most people are not cut out for it.
Right. And
most people really don't love it as much as they say they do, because you are going to encounter a lot of issues doing it. Right.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And so, in my opinion, whether you live here in St. Louis or you live somewhere around the country, which we have people tuning in from all over the country,
right.
Find a reputable group of people that have done it, that have a good background, but look at their lineage. Look what they've produced out of their program, right? I always tell people, go look at our Wall of Fame. Go look on our alumni page.
Needs to be updated.
Oh yeah, I mean, with all due respect to all the guys, like if you're not on the board, it means we just haven't had time. And there's probably 100+ guys that still need to be added with an in-game action photo. But
without question, I mean, more recent names like Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams came through the combine.
Yep.
And what's great is a lot of these guys come in as freshmen and sophomores, and boom, by their sophomore heading into their junior year, they become guys. And if they don't want to come back, we get it.
Yeah.
You know, I get it. You know, you got 20 offers. You know,
He was young when he came, right? James,
he was a
he's
freshman.
fast.
Yeah, and he was fast. He was fast back then.
Yeah, he's fast, straight line
You know,
fast.
And what's funny about it is he had not reached the height that he is now. You know, so he was shorter, but he was still fast. He was still a really athletic guy.
Yep.
But there's all kinds of guys like that. That come.
I remember talking to Ryan Wingo's dad after his combine.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey, watch out. He is going to explode." He said, "Oh, you think?" I'm like, "Oh, I know."
Yeah.
I mean, he ran extremely fast. I don't know who the first offer was, but he had gotten one.
Mizzou.
Was it Mizzou? Like he got that one in 8th grade. Maybe he was in 8th grade, whatever it was.
Yeah. Pretty sure.
I said, "Hey, watch out. Jeremiah Love." Same thing. I told his dad, I was like, "Oh, he is going to explode."
Oh, absolutely.
Because when you watch guys that run differently than all the kids that are there, and they're athletic, meaning they're not just a sprinter, but they can catch and they can do other skill sets. They're heading to the right direction for sure.
Most definitely. So that's going to be exciting to talk about next week. I'm sure we're going to talk about some of the guys who stood out, top performers, and all that good stuff. In some big news, this high school coaching news. Jamar Mosey is no longer the head coach at Lee's Summit North, and people might remember Jamar. We had on earlier in the show, you know, talking about his Broncos and how talented they were, including the freshman class, which a bunch of those guys came. Caleb Green came as an 8th grader, you know, Dakota Stanback. And some of those guys are going to be coming back to the combine on Saturday, and talked about that. And so now he's going to take a college job, is what the word is.
Yeah.
No definite word. I haven't heard as to where thinking UCF.
That's what I had heard.
Yeah, that's the word. So we'll see if that happens. But he's going to, you know, go on to bigger and better things. But that Broncos program, he's going to leave a lot of talent.
Yeah, whoever comes in is going to pick up a real nice program.
I imagine there's going to be probably a bunch of guys who are, you know, interested.
Yeah, laying in wait for that one.
Interested, in taking that one, because they return a lot of good guys, and
you said his young class, and even the middle school group coming up, he said was even, you know, really solid, right?
It's crazy. In fact, there's coming to the combine on Saturday. There's a 6'2", 6'3", 8th grade tight end who's going to be going to Lee's Summit North. So
wow,
yeah.
Speaking of Ridge James, did you get to see him? He's a 8th grader, going to be
one talking about him.
Yeah. He
interesting that you name that.
He 6'4", 6'5", size 15 shoe.
Yeah.
He had numerous big catches this weekend. I got to watch him play.
This is
fun to watch.
This is what I'm talking about. It's just crazy, the amount of talent that is going to be coming up. I mean, as good as and we say it every year, as good as 2027 is, as good as 2026 is, 2028 just around the state. I mean,
Trevor Walker's
I could just go to all four corners. Oh my, you know, and this is the thing, you know, Garrett Miller, who's at Rockhurst, they've got a 8th grader, Tristan Johnson, quarterback, who I'm sure you saw the 15 Empire, just super talented kid.
Yep.
I mean, every 7-on-7 team I spoke with, just guys who are just, you know, very, very talented.
All the reason why you got to be working, because there's a lot of kids out there that want to play. A lot of guys want to go to the same place you want to go to.
Right.
You have to set up a plan. You have to be around people that can help you do it. You know, long gone are the days where you're just going to go out to the field and aimlessly do things. My fear is kids look at the wrong stuff online and start following that stuff just because it's easy and cheap and free. Right. Which it's great. Go out and work. But you also need to know what you're working for, and what you're doing is going to prove results, right? It's going to be a proven method.
Exactly. And the last thing I want to say before we have to wrap it up here is the combine is not just testing, right? It's not just 40 vertical jump, broad jump, shuttle time. Kids pick up some really, really good skills training while they're there in drills and in one-on-ones, because your guys are always coaching. Always coaching guys. It's not just line up and say, how do you do this? It's not like that. Whether it's trying to teach guys, which wastes a lot of time, in my opinion, with 40, how to run a 40, but in the actual one-on-ones and the drills, your guys are constantly coaching, constantly teaching. And I have guys all the time every year tell me how they picked up this technique or they picked up this little bit of knowledge, and it helped them later on in the season.
Come ready to learn, come ready to compete, get out here and put it out there and have fun with it. Don't be nervous about it. Go have a good time, compete. and know that you are doing something that's going to be able to help yourself, whether you do great or you leave some, desirable, less than desirable results. Like it's all, everybody there should not be satisfied with what they leave with, because it can always get better.
As I say every year, come learn, compete, and test with the best, because that's what you're going to be doing. The Premier High School Football Combine in the Midwest for the past, it's going to be 16 years now. We will see you there, and we will talk to you next week. Football 360 show. Everybody stay safe.